Japanese Breakfast is an indie rock band fronted by New York-based Michelle Zauner, who has released 3 albums in the past 5 years. She also has a penchant for directing her own music videos. This year, she's had a series of breakout moments, including a New York Times best-selling memoir, Crying in H Mart, now touted for a feature film adaptation. This is the year she became Jimmy Fallon big, and she's had her highest ever chart positions for her new album, Jubilee. Although Zauner's multifaceted career was already on an upward trajectory, the commercial merits of Jubilee so far are just as much to do with its own quality as it is to do with her rising status as an artist overall. This is an album of really high peaks, sturdy mids, and 0 lows, and if I get one more album this year that grabs me the way this album does, I'll feel like a very lucky man. Let me explain why. In many ways, this feels like the album Zauner was always destined to make. After 2 albums of increasing studio prowess, here she is, finally fully formed. It's like instead of focusing on learning to capture her creativity, she's begun to push her creativity, taking things slow or letting them run riot at appropriate moments. Her vocals are front and center, pulled from her comfort zone with impressive results, and overall, the album's sonic palette is lush, almost tropical. She tag teams with returning co-producer Craig Hendricks, folding in bright and summery layers cinematically and triumphantly. It's a solid step up in every single way from her previous output. Zauner has pivoted away from indie shoegaze rock to make a brighter sounding, occasionally 80s aping, string-laden alternative pop record with none of the trappings of watching a rock star go pop. Thematically, she wanted to write about joy this time around, but where the lyrics are also sometimes morbid and sometimes satirical, Zauner admits they interact with joy in a different way. She masterfully wraps her words up with cool guitar licks, chunky bass lines, and blasting horns, keeping things unpretentious and wholly accessible. There's not going to be one song here that you'll struggle to love. The melodies are bright and upbeat, and even the occasional dip into a minor key just makes the leap back into brightness all the more powerful. Let's have a quick look at one of my favourite tracks on the album. It's slap bang in the middle, and it's called Posing in Bondage. It's based around this beautiful metaphor of bondage for the emotional hold that is monogamy. The chorus is just singular phrases. There's a sighing bowed guitar, gentle music box bells, and halfway through, an incredible earthquakey bass line. It reminds me of that one scene in Final Fantasy X when Tidus washes up on the shores of Besaid. After being ripped from his own reality in a disaster that destroyed his city, he finally finds someone willing to speak his language. Everything comes into full focus. Every sound in the mix is perfectly volume balanced and spaced out in the soundstage for us to fully appreciate. Then just as you approach satisfaction, it cuts and the first half of the record concludes. It's delicate and beautifully realized. The album makes a habit of this effect. The songs don't tend to rush to hit their peaks, leaving you feeling like that kid who had the shiny Charizard at school wanted it back just before you felt done looking at it. But that's okay, because you appreciate every moment you have with it, and he'll let you look again tomorrow. Slide Tackle perfectly captures this when, with 40 seconds to go, we get this incredible drum fill, and the horn section lifts off, and the hi-hats and the cymbals launch the song into the stratosphere. It's totally danceable, euphoric, and straight up ambitious. Every detail of every instrument is right at the volume you want it to be, thanks to impressive mixing and mastering, and it all adds up to really the most memorable song of the whole year for me. Savage Good Boy is another of the album's more upbeat tracks. It's a story of tongue-in-cheek optimism from the perspective of a billionaire whose sociopathic tendencies gain him the top position for survival as the world ends. He chooses one lucky woman to rear his children, live off his stocks of frozen food, and put up with him for however long is left. There are nerve-wracking, thunderous piano notes and layered vocals. It's a song you can really imagine being a late 90s alternative hit. Soon after this, the album's denouement begins. It's called Posing for Cars. Unrelated to Posing in Bondage, this closing track is guitar heavy and ends the album with 4 straight minutes of instrumental. A heavy build into an unshowy guitar solo, wailing as a perfect metaphor for an outpouring of grief and the calm that it wins you. It's a masterclass in building a sonic landscape. Jubilee holds an abundance of great production choices, always placing its best moments vividly front and center. It gains a totally addictive quality by exploring its ideas wholly, but not exhaustively, to keep you coming back again and again. She'll make and keep many fans through this album, but it hardly feels like a fluke, and I would wager it will be topped in the future. Jubilee is really the best thing I've heard in ages, and I can't wait to see her on tour next year. Hello, my name is Alex Driscoll, and you've just watched my second video that I've made for YouTube. I'm sure you'll agree that it looks a lot better than the first, and a lot of that is in thanks to Paul and Kate, who have given me this amazing lighting setup. I'm really, really thankful for that, so just cheers. And also thank you to Japanese Breakfast, who have had a really busy year. The video game footage that you can see throughout the video is a game called Sable, which Japanese Breakfast have soundtracked, and that is a really, really interesting project. But also the book that she has written, Crying in H-Mart, about her mother's death to cancer. Although it's a morbid topic, it really is the most interesting book that I've read all year. It has made me want to cry and then laugh and then cry and then laugh again, all in the space of a page multiple times. And it's just a really, really impressive book. I highly encourage you to read it. Thank you so much again for watching the video. If you're liking what you see, you know, you can follow me on Twitter, and hopefully it won't take 4, 5, hopefully less than 5 months anyway, for the next one. More coming as soon as I can speed this process up, but thank you so much for sticking around so far. I'm enjoying myself, and I want to keep enjoying myself doing this, so thank you. Bye.